Capitol Hospital stood as a colossal shadow in the heart of the city, a place where the very air seemed to throb with a malevolent presence. Long abandoned, its windows were like gaping black holes, and its walls whispered secrets of unimaginable horrors. This was no ordinary hospital. It was a gateway to a nightmare that never ended, a place where the boundary between the living and the dead was perilously thin. Years ago, the hospital had been home to Dr. Eleanor Ravenwood, a neurosurgeon whose brilliance was matched only by her madness. She was obsessed with the idea of unlocking the human soul and trapping it within the hospital's walls. Her experiments were not just unethical, they were otherworldly. She believed she could create a portal to another dimension, one where the souls of her patients would be imprisoned forever. One stormy night, a group of urban explorers decided to uncover the truth behind the legends of Capitol Hospital. Jack, the fearless leader; Sarah, a skeptical journalist; Tom, a tech-savvy doubter; and Maria, an empathetic medium, were drawn to the hospital like moths to a flame. As they approached, the atmosphere grew heavier, the air colder, and the hospital seemed to pulse with a life of its own. The front doors, long chained and padlocked, creaked open as if inviting them inside. The explorers' footsteps echoed ominously through the empty halls, each step amplifying the feeling of being watched. Dust hung thick in the air, and the scent of decay was overpowering. The walls, covered in strange, glowing symbols, seemed to close in around them. Descending into the basement, they discovered a hidden wing of the hospital. Here, the darkness was absolute, and the temperature plummeted. They found a locked door marked with Dr. Ravenwood's name. Using a rusted key they found nearby, they unlocked it and entered her personal lab. The room was a vision from the depths of hell. Surgical instruments coated in dried blood lay scattered about, and jars filled with grotesque specimens lined the shelves. At the center was an operating table with leather restraints, and an ancient book bound in human skin rested on a nearby podium. Sarah, inexplicably drawn to the book, began to read aloud, unknowingly reciting an incantation. The hospital shuddered as a powerful force was awakened. The air grew even colder, and the lights flickered violently. The door slammed shut, trapping them inside. Suddenly, the room was plunged into darkness. The flashlights flickered and died, leaving them in pitch black. The whispers grew louder, transforming into screams of agony and terror. Jack felt a cold hand brush against his neck and turned to see the ghostly apparition of Dr. Ravenwood. Her eyes glowing with a sinister light, Dr. Ravenwood's spirit began to speak, her voice a chilling whisper that echoed in their minds. "Welcome to my eternal experiment. Your souls will join the others, forever trapped in the void." The walls seemed to close in around them, the symbols glowing with an eerie, pulsating light. The group was paralyzed with fear as shadowy figures emerged from the darkness, the tormented souls of Dr. Ravenwood's victims. They reached out with skeletal hands, their hollow eyes pleading for release. Maria, summoning all her strength, attempted to communicate with the spirits, but their rage and pain were overwhelming. The hospital itself seemed to be alive, a malevolent entity feeding on their fear and despair. The group realized that the only way to survive was to confront the doctor and destroy the book. In a desperate bid, Tom lunged for the book but was thrown back by an invisible force. Sarah, using the last of her courage, grabbed the book and recited a banishing ritual she had researched. The room erupted in a blinding light, the spirits screaming as they were pulled into the void. As the light faded, the group found themselves outside the hospital, the building now silent and lifeless. They had survived, but at a cost. The horrors they witnessed had left them scarred, and the memory of Dr. Ravenwood's malevolent presence haunted their dreams.